for me, because I had made the same discovery 50 years ago when I developed the concept of reflexivity. And in that concept, I was arguing that thinking plays a dual role. On the one hand, we want to understand reality, that's the cognitive function. And on the other hand, we also want to change reality to our benefit, and I call that the participating function. And I use this two-way feedback mechanism of reflexivity to very good effect in the financial markets, because I realized that in fact you can manipulate reality by manipulating people's perception of reality. But the implications of this actually escaped me for 50 years. And the reason is that we are all sort of deeply grounded in a certain way of looking at the world, which I call the Enlightenment way of looking at the world, which basically recognizes that there is a reality, that we need to understand it, and seeks to get there through reason, rational thought. And that's the basis of scientific method, and it is in fact at the core of our civilization. I was still concerned with how do we overcome the problem that you can manipulate reality, let's say in the financial markets. And I didn't realize that in politics, actually manipulating reality can in fact take precedence over understanding reality. So this has really forced me to rethink the concept of open society, not to abandon it. On the contrary, I think that what we have all taken for granted, because we are all grounded in this, what I call the Enlightenment fallacy, of thinking that we are, in fact, concerned with the pursuit of truth. So we have taken that for granted, but that was a mistake. And we must reintroduce it as a requirement for a democratic, open society to prevail. So it's not enough to have a critical thinking and a pluralistic media. We must also be really concerned with the pursuit of truth. Now, why should we be concerned? And here, I think the war on terror gives you the perfect reason for doing so. Because it was the most successful piece of manipulation. President Bush got overwhelming public support. And he could do what he wanted. He wanted to invade Iraq, he could do it. And yet, the results are diametrically opposed to what he himself was seeking to achieve, and what America, what is good for America, because our power and influence in the world declined in a precipitous way. When President Bush declared the Bush Doctrine, which said that we must be able to maintain and project overwhelming force in any part of the world, and we have the right to preemptive action. At that time, we could, in fact, project overwhelming force. We were the dominant superpower in the world. Today, that has already diminished. There was no countervailing force at that time that could possibly interfere with our supremacy, except our own actions that could destroy us. So, and that is in fact what the manipulation of truth has produced. And therefore, we must reassert the importance of truth, because otherwise our actions will have unintended consequences, and we will get into a great deal of trouble, which the present time we are in. So this is a moment, I think, that we need to learn something from the terrible mistake that we've been made to participate in with the war on terror and invasion of Iraq, and reassert the importance of understanding reality in preference to manipulating it. It's a much more complicated task now, when we have discovered techniques for manipulating reality, which we weren't conscious of, at least, and weren't so well developed at the time of the Enlightenment. So this is the task that confronts us, to regain our sanity and our position in the world. Now, how can we achieve it? That is the challenge. And I think here Orwell and Newspeak could be very useful. Because I believe that the only way to protect ourselves against deliberate deception is by recognizing it. So bringing it into consciousness, focusing on it, instead of allowing it to invade us at the periphery. And naming it, calling it its name, Newspeak. I actually tried to analyze the various forms of deliberate deception, and I studied the literature of the right wing about me, and actually sort of identified some of these techniques. Transference is one of the most powerful ones. Imputing to your opponent your own motives. Extremists, let's say, calling me extremist. Then there is the conspiracy theory, which is, and guilt by association. Not a very favorite. And then I gave a list in the book. But I think that may be a little bit too elaborate, because calling it transference, people wouldn't understand what you're talking about. I think calling it just simply newspeak, and the same way as you recall the famous debate between Reagan and I think Reagan and Carter, and President Reagan said, "There you go again." It was very, very effective. So I think we should try to do the same thing. And when we are confronted with the propaganda and the war on terror, we just say, "There you go again."
Now, I think we'll maybe run over 10 minutes just to answer some questions from you, but before that, let me ask one quick question, and please give a 1 or 2 word answer. I want to ask each of you where you think the tradition of propaganda is most vibrant and alive today.